Today, let's look at the calisthenics strength movement where we go from the L-sit position through to a planche. Now, we could do easier variations of the L-sit and also easier versions of the tuck planche, or extend out to harder variations of the planche. Lots of room to move here depending on your level. I'm going to use these P-bars, but you could use boxes, steps, chairs, fixed P-bars. So again, lots of options. But the beauty of these ones is they allow us to move them around. We have good clearance underneath and we can even turn them over. And that's what we're going to do for the first progression and have it this way around. Now, this is going to make things much easier because I have the floor to help me. So in this position, I can even make the L-sit super easy. I can have toe assist. I can extend one leg out in front. I can go out a little bit further in front. And then when it comes to the transition, I can have light toe assist and even toe assist in the planche position. You could set something up very similar and use a step between the P-bars, so then you can use exactly the same technique, have the toe assist for the transition, but it's just a bit harder and it's a smaller base. So if you do need that help, you're gonna have to play around with your setup to match your flexibility, your limb length, and your current strength level. We then just need to assess where you're at with the three sections of the skill. So we have the L-sit position. Where can you hold for 10 seconds? So it could be in this position. So tight tuck, static position, 10 seconds. If that's easy, extend the legs out. If you have it, all the way up. Now you could even go higher than that. You could go into more of a V-sit position where you bring the torso and the legs together. Just be careful when you're doing the V-sit one, make sure that you're actually bringing the legs closer to the torso. I can't do that very well. And not just leaning backwards and the angle between the torso and the legs stays the same. We want to close that gap as much as possible. But I'll be looking for a position that you can hold comfortably for around 10 seconds. Exactly the same in the planche position. Are we in a tuck planche position for 10 seconds? So control here, ideally even have a conversation in the position because we're going to be moving to the position. So you need to have a little bit of room for error. You might be able to start to open out into harder variations. So more of a flat back, frog, straddle. If you're there, you'll know 10-second hold, see what you can get. If you can't get a 10-second tuck planche yet, you've got some options. So you could go toe assist. So like I demonstrated on the floor version, so into that position, light toe assist. You could go 1 foot. Now band assist is also an option for the planche, but it's not really an option for the transition. It gets a bit sketchy. The band rides up. I wouldn't use it. So another version you could do is like a crow or a bent arm position. So when you get into the top there, you could go into your crow position. That works very well for eccentrics coming down, but it's a bit tricky to get your knees on top of the elbows if you don't have the strength. If you have the strength already, you can probably do a tuck planche. Now, if you do want to go to a strength arm movement, I would just recommend that you go to a shoulder stand instead. So L-sit through to that shoulder stand, ideally a tuck position to start with control, learning to go in and out of the position, then eventually straight position, notice the angle, coming down, through, back to the L-sit. But today I'm going to cover more the L-sit to planche, but the L-sit to shoulder stand is a really good exercise. Now we do have another option to mix it up. We could go into a straddle L-sit instead of a standard L-sit. So straddle L-sit is this position, so easier with the knees bent. Straightening is harder, anywhere in between. Now I do have the benefit here of being able to rest on my arms. Now I wouldn't do this too much. I wouldn't have bent arms and be in this position. I would be trying to straighten, but notice I'm leaning on the arms a little bit. And then we can start to explore the transitions. Now for the transition, there's 3 main different types we can do. We can do the eccentric, and this is where I recommend that most people start. So we start in the crow, the tuck planche, the planche variation, wherever we have, for around a 3 to 5 second hold. Why 3 to 5 seconds? That just shows that we have enough control in the position. We can pause, then we can do the transition, and we've still got enough energy left so we can control the movement. We don't want to max out our hold and then have nothing and collapse on the transition. So from the tuck position, hold, show control, and then slowly come through to the L-sit, whatever the variation is. Again, show control, come back out. Option 2, which is seen as the hardest one, is then going from the L-sit position, whatever variation you have, then with control up to the planche hold, and come back out again. And then the third option is we use momentum to swing through the position. And the cool thing we're using the momentum is we can fine tune it depending on how much control we have. And I'd recommend if you are using quite a bit of momentum to go up, that you do a slow eccentric on the way back down. So you're getting some good time under tension through the transition. But the fast concentric is going to help you get up into the position. So you're doing a concentric, a slow eccentric, and that should slowly fill the gap so you can then eventually slow down the concentric. And the cool thing with that, if you just think of it as a dial, you have super fast, lots of momentum, we have super slow, and we have everything in between. So you could just go medium speed, up, hold, slow down, and just fine tune that depending on what you have. Now with the straddle L-sit version, it's a little bit harder to use the dynamic version. So from there, I can come round to here. It's hard to get momentum, but notice what I'm doing. I'm bending my arms to get up. So that's one way I can use a little bit of momentum, help myself with the bent arms. You've just got to get out of the bent arm position into the straight, which can be tricky. But obviously the slow concentric works really nice out of that position and is really good if you're going towards straddle press to handstand, because that hip has to go through that same movement and then you just continue up and do your straddle press. So I'm using this for my workout today, so I'm just going to continue on now with sets of this. I'm going to go from the L-sit position and slowly make the planche variations harder and harder until I max out. Drop any questions down below in the comments. Let me know where you are with your planche and your L-sit work. Check out my app if you'd like help with your training. Link is down in the description, and I'll speak to you in the next one.